students. Welcome to this new session of the Signature of Public International Law. We are in session number 25. The unit is the unit 12, Asylum, Refugee, and Displacement. And we are going to see the subunit 12.1, the concepts and characteristics of these terms. The objective of this session is to know the concepts, characteristics, and current situation of refugees and displacement persons at the international level. Remember that when we finish this session, on your content you will have to perform an activity of a documentary critic in which you are going to analyze a documentary about refugees and displacement persons and elaborate a critic with a perspective of international law. Right, now to start, which is the concept of asylum? It is the protection found by a person subject to persecution by the authorities of a state in those cases in which such persecution faces the prohibition of persecution within certain competent areas of the authority of another state, without the latter having the obligation to facilitate its continuation by handing over the refugees to the authority of the state that intends to exercise such persecution. The justification is that the fact that a state may exercise its territorial supremacy over any person on its territory, whether nationals or foreigners, excludes the possibility that the jurisdiction of foreign states over their nationalities may be exercised in the territory of another country. In the absence of extradition treaties, which provides otherwise under international law, there is no obligation on states to refuse fugitives admission to their territory, or if they have already been admitted, to expel or surrender the claimants to the state. We also are going to analyze, according to Willano, the exterritorial asylum, which is the condition reserved by international law to the places where a person had been requesting and was guaranteeing asylum, or also known as internal asylum or diplomatic asylum, if agreed on the premises of diplomatic missions, and the external asylum or territorial, that is granted by the state with its own territory. The facets of asylum law by Alan Grant and Madsen is the right to admit a person to its territory, or the right to allow him to remain in that territory, the right to refuse to expel him, he refused to extradite him to another state, and the right not to persecute the person, punish him or her, otherwise restrict his or her freedom. Also, it's important to analyze the conventions by asylum that are the Havana Convention on Asylum in 1928, the Montevideo Convention on Political Asylum in 1933, the Montevideo Treaty on Political Asylum and Refugee in 1939, the Caracas Convention on Territorial Asylum in 1954, the political asylum according to the General Population Law, and also we are going to analyze the political persecute according to Carrillo Flores, that is when a person is persecuted for his or her historical ideas or activities without being charged before the competent judicial authority for any criminal act. The concept of refugee by the United Nations Convention relating to the status of refugees of 1951 tell us that the refugee is a person who, owing to well-founded fear of being persecuted for reasons of race, religion, nationality, belonging to a personal social group or political opinion, is outside the country of his or her nationality and is unable to come again because of that fear, unwilling to avail himself to protection of that country. The elements necessary to acquire for a refugee status is that a person must be left the country where he had his permanent domicile. The events giving rise to the refugee status must be linked to the relation between the states and its citizens, and it is necessary that the interruption of this relation has been imposed on the refugee, for example, in case of violent expulsion or ethnic minority, or that is based on other reasons other than personal convenience. Also, we are going to analyze the difference between asylum and refugees, the right of non-return, and the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and its functions.